Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. Our top story tonight, a horror single-car crash on the Tasman Highway at Runnymede has tragically claimed the life of a young Hobart man. The fatality sees the state hit another grim milestone, with 49 people killed on Tasmanian roads this year alone.
A mangled wreck coming to rest down an embankment after a Friday morning drive, which ended in devastation.
Members of the public were the first on the scene and rendered some assistance to the individual. Emergency services attended to assist the male. Medical intervention was applied. However, unfortunately, the male was deceased at the scene.
Behind the wheel of the ute, a man in his 20s who was travelling northeast on the Tasman Highway just after 8:30 when his vehicle crossed onto the other side of the road.
It skidded for some distance before impacting with a culvert and then colliding with a group of trees. It impacted heavily and came to a stop in that area.
Another life lost in a horrific year that's now seen 49 people killed behind the wheel in Tasmania, well above the 10-year average.
One fatal traffic accident is devastating, and it's just the community, the family, the emergency services providers. It does have a heavy impact on everyone.
Forensic investigators have spent the morning assessing what is left of the vehicle, combing through debris to piece together how this tragedy occurred.
We'll do a full investigation for the coroner. That will involve the environmental conditions, the mechanical conditions of the vehicle and the condition of the driver.
Anyone who witnessed the crash is urged to contact police as investigations continue. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Launceston General Hospital is tonight grappling with a spike in COVID cases. Let's go to reporter McKenna Bailey, who's outside the LGH. And McKenna, what can you tell us?
Tom, Public Health has confirmed Launceston General Hospital will escalate to level 2 of its COVID management plan from 8 a.m. tomorrow. The department says the hospital is seeing an increasing number of positive patients and COVID-related staff absences. As part of the escalation, staff will continue being required to wear N95 masks and eyewear for safety. It comes days after Hobart's escalation, following a similar outbreak there, with fears this fourth wave is starting to take a hold. The ANMF is now calling on the department to reintroduce regular COVID briefings.
Previously, in other waves of COVID peaks, we've had daily briefings with the department in regard to escalation levels, service delivery, importantly the impacts on staffing and workforce. We've put a request in today to the Department of Health to reconvene those meetings.
The state has seen a spike in cases, jumping 22% in the past week. More than 2,700 cases have been reported, while 2 patients are in ICU. Tom?
A concerning situation. Thanks very much for that, McKenna. McKenna Bailey joining us there. Victim survivors have come out in droves today, taking a statewide stand against female abuse. Their harrowing stories forming part of the government's 6-year action plan, which hopes to bring down family and sexual violence rates in Tasmania.
Northern Midlands Mayor Mary Knowles carries the emotional scars of an abusive past.
As a personal survivor of child sexual abuse and pretty horrific family violence, I had to disappear, change my name, change my birth date with my children and start a whole new life in Tasmania.
No longer silenced, she's speaking up to stop it from happening to others. An entire community marching behind her on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women.
Violence against women is abhorrent, and anything we can do to raise awareness is important.
This army of activists pouring onto Parliament lawns, hearing from those looking to make real change.
Today we've launched Nana Week 2.0, a campaign dedicated to uplift the agency of Tasmanian women from culturally, linguistically diverse backgrounds to share their stories of family and sexual violence.
It comes as the state government launched its 3rd Family and Sexual Violence Action Plan. The report informed by 690 Tasmanians at the centre of the issue.
I can't even imagine the courage that it takes to shine a spotlight on a situation that has been filled with darkness, but we know that's the only way that we will see change.
The plan outlines a range of measures aimed at cutting rates of abuse in Tasmania, introducing fixed consent education in schools, establishing Tasmania's first Victim Survivor Advisory Council, and developing 2 pilot support centres tailored to victims' needs, among the actions to be taken.
We know that at times we may have unintentionally traumatised some of those victim survivors through the different pathways that they've had to navigate.
$100 million of state government funding has been pledged to the projects, the 40% increase credited to the former Minister, Jackie Petrusma.
Her passion came from a very personal place as well, and that gave her an incredible drive.
Survivors can still take part in the survey, which remains open until February. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or anyone you know needs help or this story has caused distress, you can contact the Sexual Assault Support Service on 1800 697 877. Tasmania Police has suspended a 51-year-old male constable in the southern region after being found guilty of 3 counts of breaching a police family violence order on November 17. The officer was stood down the day after and was formally suspended today. Sentencing submissions will commence next year. The Deputy Premier will be the first member of the government to give evidence into an inquiry over the election commitments funding controversy. A date for public hearings into the issue has been set, with the Public Accounts Standing Committee beginning its sessions at Parliament House on Monday morning. Michael Ferguson will be first up, along with the Secretary of the Treasury and Finance Department. Launceston is decking the halls and the streets tonight as it prepares for the official lighting of its Christmas tree. Annie Green is live in Brisbane Street, and Annie, they're expecting a big turnout.
Tom, there's hundreds of people here all ready to ring in the start of the Christmas season. Launceston City Council is hoping for a bumper turnout for the lighting of the city's tree, with the event returning for the first time in 2 years. Many businesses are also offering late night shopping, which happens to coincide with today's Black Friday sales. Shops are also making merry with a festive window display competition. For those driving, there are some road closures. St John Street is blocked between Patterson and York Streets, and Brisbane Street is closed between St John and George Streets until the end of the celebration. The fun wraps up at 9 o'clock tonight, and rumour has it, Santa might even make an appearance. Tom?
I better be on my best behaviour then. Thank you very much for that, Annie Green, joining us live there. Tasmania Police has welcomed the arrival of 38 new constables today who graduated from the academy. The graduates sharing hugs and tears after enduring 31 weeks of rigorous training, 16 of them studying through the inaugural Launceston Satellite Recruitment course.
These are the first graduates who haven't had to move away from their families.
The new constables will now go their separate ways at stations in Hobart, Launceston, Devonport and Burnie. An Australian Antarctic ship has undergone tests in Hobart after being damaged on a trip to the icy continent. Cargo vessel Happy Diamond, which is currently standing in for the RSV Noinya, returned to port on Tuesday for mechanical repairs. The Antarctic Division's Operations Manager, Charlton Clark, says once the trials are complete, it will resupply Australia's 3 Antarctic stations from next month. Mr Clark also says the delay is not expected to impact the return of expeditioners. A massive underwater operation is taking place off Tasmania's southeast coast to help restore our seaweed forests. A team from the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies has been planting baby giant kelp across 7,000 square metres of reef. It's the first attempt at large-scale restoration in the Southern Hemisphere and, if successful, will create an area resembling a natural giant kelp forest. Tasmania's giant kelp habitats have declined by 95% since the 1970s. With just a month to go until Christmas, experts are warning of the hidden costs of cheaping out on musical gifts. While ultra-low prices might strike a chord with some buyers, children may struggle to learn to play on a bargain basement guitar.
They're a bargain that might be too good to be true. A child-sized guitar for just $25 might be fun to open under the Christmas tree, but music teachers are warning it might put little ones off learning to play at all.
That might be the perfect thing, because they'll get it and it'll be terrible and they'll stop. But then they might take up bagpipes.
Parents fretting over what guitar to give their child may miss the pitfalls of ultra-low-cost instruments.
The string's very high off the fretboards, can't be tuned, so yeah, that's really, even for people who can play, would struggle to play one of those guitars.
Andrew's been selling guitars for 25 years, helping countless young Tasmanians begin their musical journey. He says spending a little extra pays off in the long term.
You're better off to spend another $100, a little bit more, and you've actually got an instrument that you can play.
Chris says for our mini maestros, first impressions of any musical instrument count.
Making that initial choice a better choice can go a long way.
Another entry-level option is the ukulele. Models like this one are lower cost and easier on little hands.
We don't have to spend a lot, but you probably do need to spend more than $25.
Annie Green. 7 Tasmania News.
Museum investigators have been sitting on a mystery for far too long. They're trying to work out who is Jimmy Possum, the namesake of this unique chair designed and developed in northern Tasmania centuries ago. More than 50 Tasmanian-made chairs will feature in the Jimmy Possum and Unbroken Tradition exhibition on display at Launceston's Queen Victoria Art Gallery, opening tomorrow.
The aim of the exhibition is to shine a light on furniture that is very, very important and unique. We can actually say without a doubt that, that this design of furniture isn't seen anywhere else in the world.
The tradition spanned from 1890 to 1920, but now we've been able to establish that it's gone much, much earlier than that.
The Australian bush chair making tradition will be on display until late May next year.
Jackson Bird is still giving Victoria nightmares in Tasmania's Sheffield Shield clash. Bird following up his 4-wicket first innings with 4 more in the second. Victoria leads at stumps on day 2 after another tough day for the batsman.
The green monster pitch chewed up 14 batsmen on day 1, and there was still room for captain Jordan Silk early today.
I bowled him, he's shouldered arms and it's decked back and it's knocked off Peg out of the ground.
One fan was keen to see Wade, but instead it was Webster coming to the crease. He flicked some handy boundaries for the Tigers and stayed just long enough to see Jake Doran reach his half-century. But Webster's fate was sealed when he fed the slips. Jared Freeman went for a duck on the eve of lunch. The rest of the tail fell cheaply as well.
Oh, bowled!
Doran had one final crack.
Using his feet and lifting him over mid-on and over the rope. Into the fence on the full.
The 6 brought his tally to 85. He nicked one to the keeper soon after, Tasmania with a 99-run lead. And the favourable pitch kept on giving.
Oh, bowled! Jackson Bird going around the wicket, changing the angle.
Bird's ball smashing into the stumps. Ashley Chandrasinghe didn't even need to look at the damage. He just knew. Travis Dean knew he was in trouble too.
Oh, stroking Dean on the pad and the finger goes up with the appeal.
There was no questioning the MCG crowd today.
It feels like Boxing Day. We've just doubled the crowd from the one-dayer on Tuesday.
The local fans came just in time for another scalp.
And this will be caught. That is a false shot from Matt Short.
While Bo Webster produced another classy catch.
Oh, the edges and a catch. Webster's done it again. What a superb catch.
Webster's sharp snatch has Tasmania standing tall. Victoria has now surpassed the Tigers total, but not by enough to sleep soundly tonight. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, our best over 40 female cricketers are preparing to do their state proud. Tasmania will send 2 teams to the inaugural National Women's Veterans Championships in Victoria next week. It's been a rapid rise for the ladies, with the local association formed just 12 months ago. Teammates say they're excited to wear the green and red.
There is many years of experience, many of which the women are coming back to cricket.
It's an honour to be representing Tasmania in this inaugural championship, but we have a very close-knit team, and yeah, we're going to have some fun.
The 5-day event begins in Geelong on Sunday. Turning to footy now, and interstate competition at a senior level is set to return to Tasmania next season. Our state will face off against Queensland in men's and women's matches, with one of our most iconic venues set to host the contest.
It's an iconic Guernsey Tasmanians still dream of wearing. Some of our greatest sporting moments have been played in it.
Oh, what a roast! Look at the kick! A magnificent kick!
And next season, the MAP will be back in senior footy. Tasmania will host Queensland in Hobart on July 1 next year.
This game is a really important game for showcasing that next wave of talent coming through right across the state.
Last visiting as part of the NEFL squad in 2017. It's the first time the Sunshine State has played as a standalone since thumping Tasmania in 2010. The contest not just for the men, with the women also playing in a double-header.
We'll have the Women's All-Star Series leading in, so we'll have North v South v Northwest leading in to a state games.
The TSL will also have a bye, with Northwest players to also be considered.
We want it to be a holistic Tasmanian state rep team, so yeah, everyone's going to be important in making sure they're putting forward names that are worthy of wearing the map.
The choice of venue also a symbolic one, with North Hobart Oval to play host. The home of footy over the years has witnessed some of the Jumpers' great moments.
They thoroughly deserve the win here today. Langford, sensing the danger, drifting across, takes the mark, there's the siren.
Tugs on the heartstrings a little bit, getting back here to the home of footy. The map out there, playing in rep footy at North Hobart, it just felt right.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
One of Tasmania's great draft hopes, Lockie Cowan, has been sounded out by his dream club, Carlton. Michael Voss and the Blues are showing plenty of interest in the Tassie Devils co-captain. If he ends up at any other club, he may have a tough time convincing family to change colours.
Especially for my parents, they can't imagine if I was lucky enough to get picked up, they wouldn't change teams. I'd always be Carlton, so it'd be the dream. It'd be the dream to get drafted to Carlton.
Cowan averaged 27 touches in the NAB League this year. He's taking a break at Lake Barrington this weekend before nervously watching Monday night's draft with family and friends. Heartbreak for a Jack Jumpers star tonight. Sam McDaniel will be sidelined indefinitely only weeks after his return to the NBL floor. It follows a calf injury at practice, but in some welcome news for the local outfit, showman Milton Doyle and veteran Jared Weeks are back in the lineup ahead of their clash with Melbourne United at John Cain Arena.
Themselves and get ready to go. I think that for the most part we're healthy across the board with these guys, and they're anxious to get going again.
I think we just got to close out games now. We made it over the hump of bringing everyone together and getting to the point of we can win games. We just got to finish them now.
Tasmania will be hunting for success on the road, currently sitting on 5 wins and 6 losses. Commonwealth Games finalist Graham Frisley has snatched the tour of Tasmania's yellow jersey. Longford Primary School students gave the riders a big cheer as they set off on the 72-kilometre second stage. They also left the riders with some words of encouragement, urging them to slay and ride like the wind. The peloton made its way past plenty of paddocks before entering the steep climb into Powatina. Victorian Frisley had his nose in front at the line.
That finish suited me perfectly. Coming from a track background, that kind of 4 or 5 minute effort's really perfect, so yeah, I'm happy I could get the job done.
The 21-year-old has a 12-second buffer over second-placed Sam Fox. Tomorrow's stage is from Sprayton to Sheffield. And with the BMX Nationals taking place this week, tonight's Friday flashback is to when the event last came to Launceston in 1994. Back then, the course wasn't sealed, so riders ripped up a dirt track at St Leonard's, but the thrills and spills were all the same.
The clinking of chains reverberated around St Leonard's in 1994 as 3 days of hot BMX competition came to town.
The Tasmanian team of 102 expected to be competitive.
That local contingent marched as one at the opening ceremony as they prepared to go up against 600 riders from around the country at what was dubbed the Tassie Shootout.
It's going to generate a lot of input into Launceston and a lot of money, plus the publicity for Launceston itself.
While one young fan couldn't bear to watch, the Daredevils were in electric form, speeding around the berms and bumps which make the sport such a spectacle to see. The unsealed dirt track was primitive by today's standards, but Hadspen's Patrick O'Callaghan worked at best, edging ahead in the cruisers category for a photo finish win.
Very hard race, coming from behind and in the last 2 feet just got up.
It wouldn't be a BMX championship without a share of spectacular crashes, and while mobile telephones ran hot calling for a stream of ambulances to come to the riders' rescue, the event left a healthy impression, although perhaps a little undersold.
The carnival will be best remembered by interstate competitors for the accompanying fine weather.
And despite a dire prediction at the time,
We may never see them in Tasmania again.
the National Championships did return only 28 years later. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
And there's one more day of action tomorrow, Tom.
It is a great spectacle indeed. Thank you so much for that, McKenna.
Good evening. 15 the top in Hobart today. Launceston and Burnie 19 degrees and Devonport 20. Temperatures sat between 1 and 4 below average. Wynyard 19. Friendly Beaches, Bushy Park along with the King and Flinders Islands all 17. Lowhead 16. St Helens and Strawn 15 today. Frontal cloud moved over the state as the band drifted off to the east later in the day. High cloud is over the Bight linked to a trough. More frontal cloud south of WA and extensive storm cloud lies over northern Australia. Tomorrow the high sits over eastern New South Wales. A trough emanating from over South Australia stretches to our west, followed by the next cold front. The winds tending northerly over the state at 20 to 30 knots, a bit stronger down the west coast but lighter over the inland lakes. A gale warning has been issued for waters between South East Cape and Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning from Sandy Cape to Stanley and also from Flinders Island to South East Cape. For the weekend, a late shower for Saturday for Hobart, 21 degrees, 21 for Medina with showers developing, a shower for Oatlands and 19. Tomorrow in Launceston, late showers and 21, 18 the high for Devonport and showers developing as well for Lyowini, 1 overnight, 15 the high. 16 the top for Burnie, late showers moving in, showers developing for Strawn, 23 before the change, 18 the high for Marrawar with showers developing as well. A late shower in the east, St Helens 19, 21 for Swansea, Orford 19 degrees. UV peaking at 10, that's very high. On Sunday, early showers for most, contracting to the west and far south around the middle of the day. Showers developing on Monday, moving across from the west. St Helens and Swansea might miss it though. And on Tuesday, mostly fine and partly cloudy, possible showers for the west and far south. A sunny 24 in Perth, showers developing over Adelaide and Melbourne, partly cloudy and 23 in Sydney, 10 degrees warmer in Brisbane. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 15 at the moment, 18 in Launceston, sunny in Devonport and 16 degrees. Let's hope the weather holds up, particularly for the East Coast over the weekend, Tom, for the Spring Bay Squid Fest. In fact, I did see a couple of the squid that were featuring. They looked exactly the same. In fact, they were identical.
Oh, you can put that joke back in the cupboard till next year, Murph. Thank you so much for that. And that's all your news for this Friday evening. Murph's still laughing at his joke from before. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend and good night.